So I'm thinking about that beautiful phrase, safe harbor, and wanting this center to be available to other people. And I'm inviting you to access what I'm accessing right now, the feeling I have of safety in this, my spiritual community. Even when I'm not here, I long for it, I miss it, and I go to other centers. But I'm remembering in specific today the very first time I walked into a center for spiritual living over 30 years ago, and the feeling that I had there, which so many people have reported to me they have had also. I had the feeling of, I found my people. I've come home. And so I want this to be available to other people who may not know that they have people, that they have a community who think and believe the way they do, and who are seeking to help raise the consciousness of the planet, one consciousness at a time. So I want to acknowledge that the center has been of tremendous value to me in my personal life, in more ways than I can imagine. And I'm hoping you're thinking of that too, because this is our Giving Intention Month. This is the month when we say we estimate how much we will give to the center next year, so that our leadership can take that information and plan around it, make a budget, and plan the sort of programs that will help meet our needs to raise our own personal consciousness and the consciousness of the planet. Now, we started last week, and 285 people turned in their giving intention form last week, which is wonderful, and I did the math. That means we're expecting 515 people to turn theirs in today. Isn't that wonderful? There's going to be such a rush on the table out there, and we're going to be out there waiting for you joyously to come and participate. And I know we don't need to bribe you into giving, but we so do like to tempt you. And we have this beautiful shopping bag. I mean, eco-friendly, and you become a walking advertisement for the Center for Spiritual Living. And this is the part I love the most. I like to do it every service. You just fold it up like that. And I mean, that in itself is worth a giving intention form right there. Yeah. But significantly, too, if you give a giving intention form this month, you will receive a card that is your invitation to go to a all-day workshop with Dr. David Alt, setting intentions for your life for the whole year, lunch included early in January, and you fill in your information. It's only for people who drop in giving intention forms. You can't bring a guest to this. This is an exclusive event for you as a way of recognizing your participation, and then you tear off the top part, and that's your reminder, because things get busy over the holiday period, and that'll be your reminder to come and participate in your gratitude gift. Last week I said to you that I would tell you about our nonprofit program. The way it works is every year we ask for your nominations, nonprofit organizations that you've either worked with, worked for, or benefited from their work. And then you nominate these organizations, and then our giving intention team sits and we vet them. We check, are they a legitimate nonprofit organization, and do they have a tax ID? And we select 12 of them from that long list. We received a long list of nominations this year. And then in 2019, we'll hear from one of those organizations each month, and we'll also send a check to each one of those organizations each month. This year, we selected the following nonprofits for next year, and thank you for your nominations. The first is CHOPS Teen Club, a modern facility open to all Sonoma County's 7th through 12th grade students after school, nominated by Kevin Hutchinson. Daily Acts, transforming communities through inspired action and education, building leadership and local self-reliance with the core belief that every choice you make matters, nominated by Terry Moon. And Dogwood Animal Rescue Project, nominated by Chandra Farnsworth. And Just Ask Yourself to Care Foundation, serving families that have suffered abduction or other trauma and creating a space for them to heal, and that's nominated by Stephen Han. And positive images providing support and advocacy to Sonoma County's gay, lesbian, bisexual, transgender, queer, questioning, asexual, and intersex youth and young adults, 12 to 24, nominated by Alicia Carroll. And then, of course, Santa Rosa Symphony Youth Program, so important to support art among our young people, nominated by Valerie Marshall. And Share, Sonoma County, matching individuals needing housing with a senior who otherwise would have been unable to remain in his or her home due to expenses or personal support needed, nominated by Terry Ward. And then Worth Our Wait. Now, unfortunately, we just heard in the news that Worth Our Wait is closing its doors this year. So we will be replacing this with one of the other nominated organizations from our list. Sonoma Land Trust, for obvious reasons, because one of our values is being good stewards of our planet, and this is nominated by Shannon Nichols. And then the Shasta Regional Community Foundation Fire Relief Fund, because we remember how important it was for us to receive support in our own county during our own fires. And COTS, 572 Lives, a new program with the goal over the next 3 years to rehouse 572 people impacted by the North Bay fires. And that was nominated by your own Giving Intention team. And Alquimia, Peru. This is a center for spiritual living in Peru, with its modest description here saying assisting participants to reach their full potential. What it doesn't say on their website is they're working primarily with women and children who have experienced abuse, often from very close family members, and they advocate for them in the legal system while at the same time empowering them with science of mind principles. So when you give to your Center for Spiritual Living, you can know that in part your giving is reaching out to touch so many lives here in Sonoma County and beyond. So we'll be out there in the social hall ready to receive all 515 of you, and I look forward to meeting you and talking to you all about it. Now, last week, I ended the message with another cliffhanger. I'm kind of getting used to this. I like it. I said that the key to truly understanding this flow of supply, this generosity of spirit, the bounty of creation, the real key to unlocking the spiritual flow of every good thing in life, ideas and supply, lies in the relationship between two very specific actions, and I said I would talk about them. And I can't think of any better example than breathing to explain it. Breathing in and breathing out. Because you can't have one without the other. You can't decide, I'm just going to breathe in. That's it for me. I'm breathing in now. You see, spiritual life is like that. It's not a spectator sport. You have to participate. It's more like a dance. You got to get involved. Now, Wayne Kintner, now's a name you might not know, but he was around when our movement was known as the Institute of Religious Science, before we even became a church. He was part of the education system, and he wrote a little pamphlet called A Tip on Receiving, on breathing in. And here's what he said. Now, be warned, he's very enthusiastic. You cannot become a living magnet and draw the things you want to yourself unless you have the energy of enthusiasm running through you. And you cannot become enthusiastic by thinking only of what you want out of life. You must become exuberant. Don't you love that word? You must become excited enough for your thought energy to flow out from you. If you think only of what you want, you short-circuit your thought energy currents. If you take an interest in only those things from which you think you can get something, you are limiting your thought energy current. Well, there you have it. So reading that and start thinking about my life, ask some questions. Where am I? Where have I become one-sided? Where do I need to get re-energized and exuberant again? Am I allowing people to reach me? Am I receiving and giving? Am I enthusiastic about what I can bring to life? And am I letting myself get enthusiastic about what life can bring to me? Do I need to get a jump start on this? And this same Wayne Kintner, he has this idea that there is a sure way to get things started in life again if they've become stalled. If the flow of every good thing in your life seems stalled, he says there is a way that you can jumpstart the circulation in your life again. Here it is. Give, give, give. Give of your thoughts, give of your spiritual mind treatments. By now you know what that means if you've been here for the past 2 months. Give of your time, give of your energy, give of your appreciation, give of your love, give of your praise, give of your suggestions, give of your ideas, give of your substance, money and other possessions that have been drawn to you. In other words, never think of yourself as someone who has nothing to give. Give, give, give. And make room for more by giving from what you now have. And give without any thought of return. Give without expecting some specific benefit in return. Give lovingly, happily, and enthusiastically. Now, there is the important part. Lovingly, happily, and enthusiastic. We better highlight those words. Lovingly, happily, enthusiastically. Okay. So if you're feeling stuck in the circulation of every good thing in life, there is a way that you can get things going again. You can start to give. Now, whether that's your time, whether that's your energy, whether that's your kindness, whether that's your money, whether that's your affection, whether that's your expertise, just start giving. In fact, especially give what you want to receive more of. And then make it into a routine. In other words, make it a very active part of your life. Into a practice so it's so regular that it becomes as natural to you as brushing your teeth or as breathing in and breathing out. And since we are right in the middle of our Giving Intention program for our center, let me share some tips about giving to a religious institution. Don't give your money, time, or skills to a place if you resent it as a religious institution. Because, as we will learn later, the attitude with which you give sets up the way that you receive. Don't give your time, money, or skills if you feel manipulated into it or persuaded to do it. Because manipulated giving results in a feeling of emptiness, both for you and the organization. It's not going to be good for anybody. As we will learn later, the attitude with which you engage sets up how you receive. There are plenty of places to give where you can feel free and in harmony. Give to a place where you are in harmony with the values of that place, where you believe in their mission, where you don't feel manipulated, where you are spiritually fed, where there are plenty of places to give, just as long as your giving is lovingly, happily, enthusiastically done. Because don't you know, when you take lovingly, happily, enthusiastically out of it, then giving becomes something else, becomes a task, becomes doing, and receiving becomes something else. It becomes taking. I was a visitor at a theme park in Southern California And there was a young woman, staff member, she was dressed up in an outfit, and she was giving out candy and balloons to the kids all around her. And she had this giant smile, toothy grin on her face, and it was quite a chaotic moment. And I just stood there on the sidewalk watching this whole scene. And at some point, she was done handing it all out. I guess it was the end of her shift. And she turned around away from the children, and the smile just dropped off of her face. I went, oh, wow. I got it in that moment. There was no obvious connection between what she was doing and the recipients of the... It wasn't giving. It was a job. It was a chore. It was a doing. I don't blame her. It was, oh my God, those kids. Oh, just grabbing, at it. They don't care about who she is. If she cried herself to sleep last night, they don't care what her name was. They wanted the candy and balloons, They were just taking. And then when she was done, there was nothing lingering, nothing left over in the space where the chaos had been, just emptiness. The event was characterized by an absence of heart. Because, you can fake it till you make it at a theme park or on a job. But with life, you can't. With life, you can't fake it. When you take lovingly, happily, enthusiastically out of it, giving becomes doing and receiving becomes taking. True giving and receiving is not a task. It's not a chore. It's not a burden. It's a dance that requires both parts. It's a communion. And when the act of giving and receiving is over, something of that loving energy lingers in the space, and the world is a better place for it. Amanda Owens wrote a beautiful book, The Power of Receiving, and in it she describes the characteristics of a taker. Now, this is just for information purposes. I'm not describing anybody that you know. Here's a taker, someone who tries to get as much out of things for their own benefit and tries to give as little as possible in return. Someone who pulls and tugs to get what they want. Someone who feels entitled to get what they want. Someone who uses other people to get what they want. Someone who expects others to serve them. Someone who never seems to get enough of what they want. Someone who the more they take, the emptier they feel. Someone who appears to need increasingly more and more. And the thing about taking is that it's deceptive, leads us astray, because it looks like the one taking is going somewhere, is going to accomplish something, going to get something, but frequently it's the opposite. They get emptier, maybe even sensing the urgency of needing more. And because they don't give equal in return, it empties the people around them also. We can receive lovingly, happily, and enthusiastically also. We can do that also, no matter what we're receiving. My grandmother taught me that. If you gave her a gift that she didn't like, you would never know. Because she was focused on the joy of receiving the activity, not the object. So we learned from her the graciousness of receiving. I had a friend who was just the opposite. Her receiving was more like taking. She was an attention taker. She so wanted to be part of the group, but she had this self-destructive way of taking attention from others. She would interject stories in the middle of the conversation that started with I or me, And she would tell the stories in such minute detail that took so long, and she would capture people's attention with her gaze until she was done. And the result of it was that fewer and fewer of the friends in the circle were willing to give her the kind of attention that she was demanding, and the less they were willing to give, the louder her demand became. True receiving has the energy of, I'm part of this. Taking has the energy of, I'm disconnected from this. Receiving creates community and connection. Taking results in isolation. There is a well-known quote in the Bible that describes how all of this works in metaphysical terms. Give, and it will be given to you, a good measure, pressed down, shaken together, and running over. It will be poured into your lap. For with the measure you use, it will be measured to you. That's the New International Version. And it occurred to me, we can just change give to receive and get a lot out of it. Receive, and others will be able to receive from you also. And then that last sentence, very important. For with the measure you use, it will be measured to you. Well, let's render it like this. Because the attitude with which you give sets up how people will give to you. That's what a good measure is. Not uneven, matched on both sides. And in metaphysics, we call that the law of reciprocity. And it says, what attitude goes out is matched with what attitude flows in. So my attitude is the standard. And that's what makes lovingly, happily, and enthusiastically such a wonderful goal. Because I can say to myself, it's coming back. We can say it like this. Because the attitude with which you receive also sets up how people will receive from you. And you know, when we say attitude in metaphysics, we mean consciousness. So, if you have the consciousness of a taker, think of what you're setting up. Maybe even you'll find that you're setting it up so people instinctively avoid trying to give to you. Or we can be very blunt about this. I mean, let's go to the dark side, shall we? Let's just go. Here's how we would say it. Take, and others will take from you everything you've got, because what is in your consciousness sets the rules for the game. Well, since we're in the dark side, let's carry on with more characteristics of a taker. For information purposes. And yet, I find myself in here. Are you convinced that most people are takers, so you maintain a high alert not to be taken advantage of yourself? Are most of your spiritual practices, prayers, and meditations about and for yourself? Do you do whatever you can to make yourself happy and avoid anything that makes yourself unhappy, even if doing so makes other people unhappy? Do you give up or move on when you don't immediately get what you want? Do you leave charitable contributions to other people to take care of? Do you remind people how much you've given to them? Do you start conversations talking about yourself? Well, yes, sometimes. Oh, this one, I don't even know if I should read this one. Yes? Okay. It's harsh. Do you strike up conversations mainly with people you think you might be physically interested in, or from whom you think you can get something? Oof. In conversation, do you spend most of the time talking and expect others to do the listening? Oops. Oh, this one. Would you say that you don't particularly care what other people think of you? Oh dear. Well, you know, if you found yourself anywhere in there like I did, if you said yes to some of these, there's something you and I can do about it. There's something we might want to put back into place very prominently. And it's this: lovingly, happily, and enthusiastically. And we might want to consider a jumpstart to our circulation by doing what Wayne suggested in the beginning, and here it is again. Give, give, give. Give of your thoughts, give of your spiritual mind treatment, give of your time, give of your energy, give of your appreciation, give of your love, give of your praise, give of your suggestions, give of your ideas, give of your substance, money, and other possessions that have been drawn to you. Make room for more by giving from what you have now. Give without thoughts of returns. Give without expecting some specific benefit in return. And here it is. Give lovingly, happily, and enthusiastically. And somebody might be saying, yeah, but what about the danger of becoming an overgiver? You know? You know that. That's why when we try so hard to be agreeable by giving whatever, overcompensating with giving, because that has its own problems too. Yeah? I mean, it can lead to being exploited. It can lead to feeling resentful. And that is exactly what we're going to talk about next time we're together. So I invite you to breathe in and exhale. Just feel the freedom and generosity of life. As we turn our attention within and acknowledge the source from which we come, where our thoughts emanate from, we call that source the living Spirit Almighty. We call it also the heart of divinity. We call it that to remind us of its unconditional self-givingness, its non-withholding nature. And today, in this spiritual mind treatment, I identify myself with that nature, and I recognize it as the truth of every person here. One with the living Spirit. A free-flowing love. And as I speak these words of prayer, I'm being reminded from within that as I give, just like my breathing in and out, I am not depleted, for I am drawing from a source that is eternal. My love is endless. My kindness has no end. And I take that thought and I apply it to everything in my life. I am part of a circulation of every good thing, and it is my role in creation to circulate, to give and to receive, and so I take my place in the community of beings, and I remember I identify myself spiritually as a point of circulation not only for myself, but for the upliftment of all the beings on this planet, for the betterment of my friends and family and my city and my county. I do so that I may wake up in consciousness and help where help is needed, and love where love is desired, and give where I can, and also to breathe in and to receive the blessings that life is. I celebrate this. I rejoice in it. I give thanks. And I release this word into that aspect of the divine that we call the law, to remind me that it is done unto me as I believe. And together we say, and so it is.